What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance, Season 12, Episode 10. I'm questioning everything. So the episode starts off with Edward and Marissa. So Edward is in the kitchen and Marissa comes storming into the kitchen. And I've noticed that a lot of their scenes take place in the kitchen. But she comes storming into the kitchen and she tells him that she had to redo all of the trash. I don't know what that means exactly because it seemed like the issue was he had placed the trash in the wrong place outside for the garbage truck to come pick it up. That's what I thought the issue was. So when she said that she had to redo all the trash, I was like, did it spill? Like did he not put it in the container in the trash bin, or did he just take the bag out and everything was strewn about? I don't know what she meant by redoing the trash. So every time that, I see an Edward and Marissa scene, like my body automatically tenses up because I know that Edward is about to be in trouble. She's about to lose her marbles over something that he did. And my body automatically tenses because I like Edward and I don't want him to be in trouble all the time. But whenever they have a scene together, I'm like, uh-oh, she's about to, lay it on him. So she had told him to take the trash to the curb, and he thought she said the curve. And Marissa says, I understand, if something is lost in translation or whatever, but don't act like you understand what I'm saying when you don't. But what if he really thought he understood what you were saying? Because curb and curve, and I guess the way curve is pronounced in Spanish, because I'm not quite sure about this, but I think the letter V in Spanish is pronounced like the way we would pronounce the letter B. So when she said curb, he's thinking curve. And so maybe he put it on the curve of the driveway or something. I don't know. So he probably thought he understood her. He wasn't just saying okay or nodding his head just to, move on or whatever. He probably thought he understood exactly what she was saying because she was like, don't just nod your head and act like you understand me when you don't. But he probably thought he did understand you. So, once again, she tells him how it's a lot for her to teach him every little thing. But how is he supposed to know what to do then if you don't teach him every? Because Marissa is type A and she's very detail oriented and she wants everything to be done a certain way in a very specific manner. Because, for example, when he made the bed on his own, he made the bed. She didn't like how he made the bed. She wants the bed to look like a Sears catalog. And she did not relay that to him. She probably only told him, hey, for the last one in the bed, make sure that you make the bed. And he made the bed. But it wasn't to her specifications, just like with the fence. He took it upon himself to fix the fence, but it wasn't to her liking. So she does have to be very specific with him because she's a very specific type A type of person. So Marissa meets with her mom to talk about Edward and all the doubts that she has about their relationship. And one of the things that Marissa has a problem with is how she believes Edward doesn't express his feelings and thoughts enough. She's the one that was always talking about how she feels, what she wants, what her expectations are, and he just goes along with it. He just goes with the flow. He doesn't really say much about what he's looking for or what he's expecting out of her or what his issues are. So his response is always, okay, we'll figure it out. So I'm thinking to myself, she doesn't like the fact that he's easygoing, that he just goes with the flow. She doesn't like that. But then you don't want to see the Dominican in him come out. Because if he was to bring out the Dominican in him, you would have a problem with that as well. Okay? Because if he would have told you where you can put that bed after how you didn't like how he took the effort to make it, if he would have said to you, make your own damn bed or fix your own damn fence, she probably would have kicked him out of the house, never to see him again. So, like, I'm not understanding, because Marissa doesn't seem like somebody who wants to be challenged. But she's telling her mom that he doesn't express himself enough, and I don't know exactly how he's feeling or what he's thinking, so on and so forth. Her mom just ends up telling her, you need to be very honest with yourself about how this relationship is going. Don't pretend it's something that it ain't. So Marissa takes Edward to the park and she wants to take this opportunity to talk about the relationship. And Marissa recognizes that she has been a bit rude and snippy with him. And like she's trying to figure out, what is it about this relationship that makes me act like this? So she's asking him, how does he feel about how things have been going so far? And he's honest with her. He tells her, yeah, I've been a little bit aggravated. He tells her that everything is a process and he's still trying to learn about her, her country, her ways, her household, etc. He says that it's hard for her, but it's just as hard for him. It's not a walk in the park, no pun intended, for him either. And another issue that he has with her is that if he does express how he really feels about something, it's a problem. And if he doesn't say anything at all, it's still a problem. So if he complains, she doesn't like it. If he keeps it to himself and just goes with the flow, she still doesn't like it. She says that she's had some serious doubts about this relationship ever since he's arrived in America. And she asks him if he's felt the same. And he tells her, no, he doesn't think about that. Like he doesn't really dwell on the negative. He just wants to figure out what the solution is and keep moving forward. Edward says that once he makes a decision, he sticks with it. And whatever issues there are, he's going to try to fix it, but he's not going to go back and have any kind of regrets or whatever. So she tells him that she doesn't feel the same. She doesn't have the same conviction as he does. So that made him feel some kind of way. So then he ends up getting up and he walks away to have like a moment to himself. And he's talking to the producers, and I forgot exactly what he was saying, but he was basically like, nothing is worth all this trouble. He's like, nothing is worth all this trouble, and he doesn't have to be, embarrassed or whatever he was saying. And he was like, yeah, if I need to go back to the Dominican, I'm going to go back to the Dominican because it's just not worth all of this. So Marissa, when he comes back, Marissa tells them that they have to have these kind of hard conversations to make sure that they are doing the right thing, because the one thing that is not on their side is time. They don't have a lot of time to figure things out. So Edward says that he doesn't want to show weakness. And Marissa says it's not showing weakness if you're talking about your feelings. We need to have these type of conversations, and it's not a sign of weakness. Marissa tells us that she wants Edward to stand up for himself more. Girl, really? Really? You want him to stand up? I'm thinking the reason why Edward does not speak out for himself more or challenge her more or talk back to her or anything like that, because I'm pretty sure she turns into a complete monster when he does. And so for him, it's like, I just rather keep the peace instead of, me stand up for myself and say that I don't like something that she did, or I don't like how she talks to me or whatever, because then it's going to cause a problem. Because I feel like the times that he has tried to stand up for himself a little bit, she wasn't trying to hear that because she thinks that she's right and he's wrong. And like when he was like, I remember that scene when she was trying to get her kids ready, take them to school, and he was kind of lagging behind because he had to put on his shoes. And she was like, we don't have time for that. We don't have time. And then after all of that, she still was like, hey, I didn't like how you handled that, because in the morning it's go, 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 go. And you were taking your time and you were too slow. And you need to know, you need to step right in and figure out what you need to do and grab this and grab that. And we got to go. Even though he was explaining to her, look, I just need a moment to put my shoes on. Damn, she didn't like that. So I feel like when he does try to stand up for himself, she comes, the freaking monster comes out, because she does not want to be challenged. I don't think she wants to be challenged. I don't know what the hell she's talking about when she says that she wants him to stand up for himself more. She says that she needs a strong man that will put her in her place when needed. Marissa, the lies you tell. The lies you tell, girl. Please. And she says that he doesn't seem like that type of person. Girl, Marissa's mean. She's really, really mean. I think she's mean. And if I don't know, like I said, I always say this because, when people start attacking them online, these reality TV personalities, when people start attacking them and they get all of this backlash about how they are perceived on the show, they get very defensive. They get extreme. Oh, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is just, a tidbit of our lives. It's not our whole life. Y'all don't really know what's going on. then do better. When the camera is on you, then do better, act better. If you don't like the backlash and the criticism and the harsh critiques of how you come across, and you're claiming that you're not this person that you're perceived to be, then do better. When the camera turns on, when it's time to film, consciously try to make better decisions. And if the producers are telling you to do otherwise, then don't get upset with the backlash. If the producers are like, you're not mean enough, cuss them out more, be more demanding, boss them around more. We need to make a show here. It needs to be more entertaining. Then don't be like surprised when people are like, hey, you're a meanie, you're treating your man really bad. Don't be surprised about that. Just kind of go with the flow. Moving on to Shea and Annabelle. So we are still at Shea's birthday party celebration out at the lake house, and there's a scene where one of the young ladies is talking to Allison, Shea's daughter, and she's telling Allison that she had no idea Shea was even married, because that whole entire summer when they were all hanging out, partying and whatnot, Shea was acting a fool. He was flirting with everybody, probably doing a whole lot more than that with some other people. And so the girl was like, I had no idea that your dad was married until somebody told me that he had a wife in the Philippines, because the way your dad was cutting up, girl, he was living like he was single, ready to mingle. So the girls, then there's a scene where there's a confessional with these three young ladies, and they were talking about how Shea is the biggest flirt ever. And he talked about how he had promised to buy them islands, and he had offered for them to spend the night at his lake house, just acting a fool. And the whole entire time, he's got a woman back home. He's got a woman in the Philippines. So Annabelle gets on his case about all of the drinking. The whole time that he's, at this party, he's drinking, he's acting really silly, he's, cutting up, flirting with everybody and whatnot. And Annabelle is just sitting back watching all of this. And she has a very disappointed look on her face. And so she's had enough. And she gets on him for his drinking. She's like, how many beers have you had? He's like, oh, only about 6 or 7. And she was like, the hell you did. You probably had 6 or 7 cases of beer. And while she's getting on him about his drinking, Allison, talks about how she's telling Annabelle, I guess Allison was there when, Annabelle was, talking to Shea about his drinking, because Allison was like, girl, chill out. This is a lake party. We're celebrating. Relax. Annabelle says that she's ready to go to bed. So she tells Shea, hey, I've had enough. I'm ready to go to bed. He says that he will put her to bed, but he's going to come back out and continue partying with his friends. So when they're inside the lake house, they get to arguing, and it's about her wanting to end the night early. And he's like, let's go out there and hang out with my friends. I don't know why you want to go to bed so early. And she's like, I'm over it. I'm tired. I'm through. And he tells her not to embarrass him, when all she's done was just sit back and watch him act like a clown. I don't know if are they actually married, or are they just engaged? I don't know. Whatever the hell it is, they're engaged or married, and he's out there flirting with all the women who are half his age, right? All the women who are half his age, he's flirting with them. He's guzzling beer like there's no tomorrow. And he's talking to her, telling her, don't embarrass me. While you're out here embarrassing the hell out of her. And I'm pretty sure everybody at that damn party was talking, like, look at Shea and how he's acting in front of his woman, and she's just sitting there taking it. Because any other woman would have probably grabbed him by his ear, okay, and taken him home. So he tries to get her to come back out, but she refuses. So he goes back to partying. He's like, okay, to hell with you. He goes back to partying. Allison says that she doesn't like how Annabelle is bossing her dad around, even though your dad is acting like a complete fool. She says that this is tame Shea. Okay, this is him being really tame. And if his behavior is bothering Annabelle, then she's in for a really rude awakening, because she says that this is not even like the full extent of how Shea really gets down. Allison says that if Annabelle doesn't like it, if she doesn't like Shea's behavior and how he gets down at parties, then she can go back home to her family. So Allison is not a girl's girl. Okay, she's not a girl's girl. I was trying to give Allison the tiniest benefit of the doubt. I knew what kind of time she was on, but I was still like, let me just give her like another chance just to really see where this is going. When she would tell Allison all the stuff about her dad and how her dad was flirting with everybody, practically cheating on her. And I kind of was like, well, maybe she's being a girl's girl, looking out for her future stepmom. But now I know that Allison isn't looking out for anybody. For the way that she was like against Annabelle and Team Shea in this situation where Shea was obviously the one in the wrong. He had promised her to cut back on his drinking. He didn't. The excuse is it's a party. We're celebrating my birthday. I can drink as much as I want. He's flirting with all these young girls at this party. I'm pretty sure there were some. It doesn't even matter. He's flirting with all of these young girls at this party. She's not saying anything. Okay, she's not yelling at him, cussing him out, or doing anything. And for Allison to still be like, well, if she can't take it, she just needs to go back home to her family. And seeing how badly her dad was behaving as a man who's engaged, and you're taking his side and talking about how Annabelle can't handle it, then yeah, obviously you don't give a damn about protecting women or being you just want her gone. You don't like her. You want her gone so that you can have your daddy and his money back. That's all that is. But Shea, you need to get it together. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. What about going out to a nice dinner to celebrate your birthday, or having an adult party where everybody is of age and controlling your drinking? You can celebrate your birthday in so many ways. You don't have to get skunk drunk and humiliate yourself with these, little girls in front of your fiance. That's not the only way to celebrate your party. So this whole thing about, hey, it's a lake party and this is how we do it. No, that's not going to fly. Moving on to Rashid and Mallerie. So they're going to Rashid's very first baseball game. Brandon will be there. So when Mallerie told Rashid that Brandon was going to be at this game, Rashid was already pissed off. So Rashid tells us that after he told Brandon to stop all communication with Mallerie, he still continues to call and text her. And I'm like, yeah, because Mallerie wants that. Mallerie allows it. Mallory's okay with it. So when they arrive at the venue, Rashid does not greet Brandon. He ignores him. Rashid got to throw the very first pitch of the game, and Brandon said that he threw like a girl or something. His grandmother could have thrown better than that. So when they went to go sit back in the stands, Mallerie was going to sit next to Brandon, but Rashid intervened and he took her seat so that he could sit next to Brandon. He just basically didn't want Mallerie sitting anywhere near Brandon. So Brandon tells us in his confessional that Rashid is persistently disrespectful towards him. And he's like, I'm not even the enemy. I'm trying to be an ally to him. So I don't understand why he has to continue to be so disrespectful. But if he continues on this path, then I will be the enemy that he's looking for. So after they do the national anthem, they play musical chairs again. Okay, when they sit down. Now Michaela is the one sitting next to Rashid because Brandon did not want to sit next to Rashid. So he traded seats with Mallory's friend Michaela. So when the ladies leave to go get refreshments, Rashid asks the other friend that's with them, to explain the game of baseball to him. So Brandon starts explaining, and Rashid was like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him. So then Brandon gets upset and he leaves to go pee. So then the ladies return. Mallerie gives Rashid a beer and he didn't want it. A beer and a bat. Rashid didn't want it. Mallerie said that he was ruining the mood for everybody because, Rashid was in a really funky mood. He had a bad attitude the whole entire time and it was ruining it for everybody else. Rashid said he didn't care. Brandon tells Rashid that he thought they had agreed to respect each other and to move on, but Rashid is still disrespecting him. Rashid says, I told you to delete my number and Mallory's number, but you're still calling and texting. Brandon said, yeah, I'm never going to delete the number. No, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. I'm not going to stop reaching out to Mallerie. So Mallerie tells Rashid, you need to just move on. Let's put all of this behind us and y'all need to kiss and make up and we just all need to move forward. Brandon was like, he was telling Rashid, so you don't want to have a conversation with me? And Rashid was like, no. So then Brandon got upset. He threw his popcorn at him and he got up and he left. And that was the end of Brandon. We never saw him again. And Rashid started eating the popcorn that Brandon threw at him. So this whole entire event, the whole purpose of all of this was for Rashid and Brandon to bury the hatchet and to try to move on civilly. Obviously, they're not going to be the best of friends. They're not going to be hanging out, going to the bars together, but they just need to, like, basically they want Rashid to accept Brandon and to not make a big deal about Brandon still being friends with Mallory. They want Rashid just to give in, and he wasn't going to do that. So on their way home, Mallory tells Rashid that he should have behaved better and let bygones be bygones. Mallory tries to explain to him that her friends are like her family, and Rashid interrupted her. He was like, your friends can't be your family. And Mallory was like, no, listen to me. When I got into my accident, the only people that were there for me were my friends, including Brandon. They did a lot for me. So I'm just not going to turn my back on him because you don't like him. And it's way more than that, right? It's because of the fact that Brandon and Mallory were friends with benefits. From what I can understand, they were never in a full blown relationship, but they were friends with benefits. They would hook up now and then. And obviously, that bothers Rashid. And I feel like Mallory talks too damn much. She should not have told Rashid about that. Okay. Um, because I'm not saying that Rashid has the right to feel the way that he does. I don't really know how he should feel. He feels the way he feels. But the fact that he knows that this man was deep in his girlfriend's guts, for a time, the fact that he knows that and he probably envisions that every time he sees Brandon, it's understandable that he does not want to be around this guy because this guy was intimate with his girlfriend or his fiance. And that probably really bothers him. So I feel like that what kind of started all of this, I think Mallory just probably gave him way too much information. It was none of his business, to tell you the truth. Her past is her past. Even though they all would have been hanging out in the same friends group, after Rashid came to America, he was going to be hanging out with Brandon as well. I don't know if it was the best idea for her to tell him that, me and this guy, we used to hook up all the time and he's going to be coming around all the time and he's my friend and you're always going to be around him. You're always going to see him. I just kind of feel like she should have kept that to herself and we would have avoided all of this and concentrated on something else regarding their relationship. Mallory says, um, so when she talks about how, my friends are like my family, Rashid tells her, well, I'm here now, so you can delete them. And she's like, I'm not going to delete them. Mallory tells us that she didn't sign up to be with a man that is possessive and controlling and that she's not going to put up with it. Rashid asks her, so what do you want? What is it that you want? And she tells him, I want you to apologize to Brandon. And Rashid says that she doesn't understand his side. And with the whole prenup thing and the fact that she's not going to give up Brandon, he says like all of this is breaking his heart. And he says that Mallory, if she's going to be his wife, she's going to have to take his side. So we'll see how that goes. But I feel like what started all of this was just Mallory sharing way too much information. Because if that was just your friends with benefit and nothing else, y'all were not married, y'all don't have kids together, y'all didn't live together, I don't think there was really a need to tell Rashid about it. That's what I feel like. Mito and Debbie. So Mito is back, y'all. So Debbie tells us that since her big blow up, Mito has been ignoring her in the house. He's been giving her the silent treatment, which I think is highly, highly, highly immature in a grown relationship to be doing that. You're living with someone and you're refusing to talk to them. That is emotional, psychological abuse. So she suggests that they go to the lake to talk. And he's like, okay, whatever you want. So they talk about what happened on Halloween night. He asks if she thinks what happened to him was okay. And I'm thinking he's referring to her friend cussing him out and whatnot. I think that's what he's referring to. And she says, no, it wasn't right what was done to him. And she says it was bad behavior across the board. But she didn't tell her friend that. She tells Mito that, but she didn't tell her friend because she met up with her friend. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, we saw her meeting up with her friend. And Debbie really didn't have much to say because she doesn't want to, come out against Mito. But she also doesn't want to co-sign with whatever her friend was saying because, Mito was going to see this. So she just kind of was mum throughout the whole entire meeting, but she didn't tell her friend everybody behaved badly because her friend would have been like, I was defending you, girl. What are you talking about? I was behaving badly. I was standing up for you. But she tells Mito that. So During their conversation, she tells him that she loves him. She says, I love you. But he doesn't say it back. He was kind of like, okay, excellent. Very good. And he even says that he doesn't like it when she tells him, I love you all the time, because Mito says if you love someone, you don't just say it, you show it. And he feels like she's not showing it to him because she doesn't defend him enough. And so he doesn't want to hear it. She tells him that, I really want you to stay, because remember, he's always threatening to go back to Egypt. And he's like, well, for me to stay, it depends on you. If you can fix it, fix it. If you can't, you can't. She tells him, well, what about you and the things that you need to fix? Debbie tells us that she's beginning to understand why Mito has been single for a long time. And I'm like, and you're still going to marry him? In their confessional together, Mito says that he's going to forgive her, but he's not going to forget, which is so weird to me that he's talking about how she doesn't stand up for him. He's talking about how her friends treated him badly. He's talking about, I'm going to go ahead and forgive her, but I'm not going to. And it's like, what did she do wrong exactly? Like, what exactly did she do wrong? He was the one who was in a funky attitude, and she called him out on it. And he got really upset with her because that whole entire night, he wasn't acting like her man. He was, performing for everybody. Like this was an audition or whatever. He wasn't really like treating her like a partner or anything. And she felt some kind of way about it. And when they were driving with her friend, he wasn't talking to her. And she like didn't understand where all this attitude was coming from. But here we are, and he's like, I'll forgive you, but I won't forget. Forgive her for what? You should be apologizing to her. Anyway, so that's what he says in their confessional. And he tells her, if anything else happens, I'm going to go back to Egypt. Debbie, get him a ticket already and have it sitting on the counter or on the mantle or somewhere, and just have it ready. Because the next time he says that, take that damn ticket, shove it at him, and call him an Uber and take him right back to the airport. Like, I'm not understanding. He keeps threatening this. Call him out, call his bluff, call him out on it. Have that ticket ready to go. We'll see if he actually gets on that damn plane to give up his Hollywood dreams. Debbie, okay, so they're in the living room, right? They're in the living room, and he is sitting on the couch, and she's in the dining room area, and he's looking at his headshots. And I guess this is how he self-soothes himself, by looking at his headshots. Her daughter walks in. She sees how thick the tension is, and she expeditiously exits. Later on, we see Debbie and her daughter. They're going to the nail salon to get pedicures. The daughter mentions how Mito is still on the couch. I guess he's not sleeping in the same room with Debbie. He's sleeping on the couch, and that they're still not talking. Debbie says that they've been together 6 years, and she's not throwing all of that away. She's saying it as if they've been together physically 6 years. The majority of the relationship has been long distance. So, girl, you have not been with him for 6 years. I don't think a long distance relationship compares to an in-person relationship. What y'all were doing y'all were just pen pals. Now y'all are dealing with the real deal Holyfield type of a relationship. So y'all have been together for however long he's been living with you. That's how long y'all have been together. So you have plenty of time to walk away from this. But she says, I don't want to throw 6 years away. And she's not willing to let him go. The daughter is like, there's too many red flags for y'all to move forward with a marriage, because whatever issues y'all are having now, y'all are going to bring that into your marriage. Debbie says that she wants him to do a formal proposal, and she wants him to say, I love you. She sounds like a little girl. She sounds like, a love-struck 16, 15-year-old girl who's waiting for her boyfriend, just to say, I love you, and just to, give her a promise ring and make it official and claim her as his girlfriend. That's what she sounds like. She doesn't sound like a woman who's lived life, been married, raised a child, traveled the world. I just need him to say, I love you and give me a formal girl. You know what? We all know that they ended up getting married. It's all over the internet that they ended up getting married right around Halloween time, or right after Halloween. They got married and whatnot. And I think he agreed to marry her and to give her what she wanted, because I think she promised him that she was going to help him with his acting career. That's my opinion. Anyways, so Debbie says that she needs time and she's not ready to give up on hope. But she says she's not sure if Mito really loves her. And this makes no sense to her daughter. or me? I don't get it. Moving on to Asa and Maxwell. Asa and Maxwell, they get everybody together and they gather everybody in the living room and they tell them that they're going to be applying for the spousal visa, which means that they will be getting married soon. And Mama Maxwell is shocked. Okay. His sister is disappointed because his sister just found out before this gathering, the sister just found out that Aisha is actually 38 years old. She's 10 years older than Maxwell, and she found this out from her mom. So the sister was like, I'm really disappointed because, I just found out how old Aisha is, and, she's too damn old to be marrying my brother. And Maxwell wanted to know, well, how did you find out about Aisha's age? And the sister says, well, my mom told me. So Maxwell asks his mom, how did you find out about Aisha's age? Well, Aisha's mom steps in and she was like, I'm the one that told. I told it. I'm not afraid. I told it. I said that my daughter's 38 years old. So Maxwell is like, oh, so you're the culprit. And I was like, was his family not supposed to know her real age? Aisha tells us in her confessional that she deliberately did not tell these people, those are her words. She says, I didn't tell these people my age because of how they view older women. She felt like her age was strictly between her and Maxwell. It was their business. The sister says that she loves Aisha and she loves her as a person and whatnot, but she does not support this age difference. The sister says because Aisha is older, it will be hard for her to submit to Maxwell. Maxwell apologizes to his family for not telling them about Aisha's age, and he asks if they will disapprove the marriage because of the age gap. The dad says he cannot accept it. The sister says, okay, how long will it take you to start trying to have children once y'all get married and once y'all get back to America? Aisha says it'll take about a year before they start trying to have a child. The sister, because she says, Max was going to have to, be able to get a job and all this is going to take time with immigration. So give it about a year or so before they actively start trying to have a baby. The sister says, well, that's too damn long. That's too long. So, and you're going to be even older. You're going to be damn near 40. So Aisha says, well, who created time? God. And so Aisha says, well, God is the one who created time is the one that brought me and him together at this time of our lives. God meant for that. Like I said, when the questions get too tough for Aisha, she brings in God. Okay, she phones a friend and it's a call directly to God. God brought all this together because, these people are very religious. Maxwell's family, Aisha's family, they're very religious people. So when you bring God into it, a religious person is not going to argue against that, right? Because, hey, God created time and God is the one that brought us together in this season of my life. At the age that I'm at, he brought Maxwell into my life and the family cannot argue against that. Aisha tells us, Sarah in the Bible, who was the wife of Abraham, I believe, was 90 years old when she had her first child. And I'm like, okay, girl, if that's the argument that you're going to use, now, y'all, I believe in the Bible and everything. I truly do. But I don't think that, and I know there are some religious sects that take the Bible, sects like SCCTS, that take the Bible very, very literally. I understand that and I respect that, but I don't take it that literally. I mean, it could have been possible. Miracles do happen. I think it's just the story of Sarah having a child at 90. I don't know if she was literally 90 because I don't know if they were counting time back then the way we count time now. But I think that maybe Sarah was an older woman. I think it was a miracle for her to have a child at the age that she was. Was she 90 years old? I wouldn't hesitate to disagree. Like if she was literally 90, I just believe that Sarah was older and her having a baby at the time that she had it was miraculous. So, but that's the argument that Aisha uses. Like, Sarah had a baby at 90. And if I was a sister, I would have been like, okay, why don't you just go ahead and wait until you're 90 then? Because God had blessed Sarah with the baby at the age of 90. His family decides that they will leave it up to God. Aisha says at the end of the day, it is a relief that they know her age. They don't have to keep it a secret. And then after that, Aisha leads them in prayer. But I don't think that the family truly accepts her. Because of her bringing in God, they can no longer argue with her. But I think that they're still having an issue with Maxwell being with a woman who is so dominant and so damn old. In their words, not mine, because I'm way older than Aisha. So I don't think she's old at all. I think 30, I don't think 38. I understand, once you hit 35, that is what they consider advanced maternal age in the pregnancy world. And the doctors treat you differently than they would if you were younger than 35. So I get it. I totally get it. But I don't think it's like completely unheard of and like impossible for a 38, 39, 40-year old woman to have a baby. The risks are higher. They treat you differently. You're of advanced maternal age now, but it's not unheard of. Josh and Katie. Katie meets up with Ryan for a run. And I was like, man, Katie got some damn nerve to meet up with a guy that her fiance has an issue with because she cheated on Josh with said guy. She's got some nerve to meet up with, of course, the producers arranged it. Okay, fine. So they meet up for a run. Katie tells us in her confessional that because of her OCD, she will tell herself when she's about to go out, she will tell herself to not make out with anyone. But then she sees herself obsessing with, obsessing over it. And so then she tells herself to kind of loosen up a little bit. Don't put so much pressure on yourself because you're obsessing over this whole thing about not making out with everybody. So then she becomes impulsive. When she tells herself to relax a little bit, she becomes impulsive. And then she starts making out with people. Girl, that's a whole lot of mumbo jumbo to say that you get skunk drunk and you want to kiss everybody because you're loose like that. That's a lot to say. Ain't nobody buying your whole, oh, I do this because I have an OCD. You do this because you get drunk. What was it called? Mallerie called it white girl drunk. You get white girl drunk and you start misbehaving. That's all it is. Stop with the psychoanalysis of, oh, I have OCD, impulsive, compulsive. Girl, stop. Katie says that she wants to find a balance between being able to party hardy but still be loyal to Josh. You need to stop drinking. That's your balance. Just don't drink or have one or two drinks and keep it at that. She asks Ryan if the other night was the drunkest he'd ever seen her. And he was like, hell no. I've seen you way drunker than that. That was nothing compared to some other times that I've seen you get drunk. And I was like, damn, because she was pretty gone that night. For Josh's birthday, she was gone. She was gone. And he was like, no, I've seen you drunker than that. That's nothing compared to some other times that you've gotten drunk. That was absolutely nothing. Katie told us that before, she had told us before that she had met Ryan in a running club. That's how she met him, because she's like a big runner. Y'all, the way I saw her running, I was like, girl, you were in no running club. Like, what are you talking about? She did not look like a runner. Like her form, I don't even know nothing about running. Obviously, I don't know nothing about running. But the way she was running next to Ryan, and the way she was stretching, she couldn't even stretch. Okay, her body was so stiff. She couldn't even properly stretch. She couldn't even touch her toes. Maybe that's coming for a lot of people. I don't know. But the way she was running, to me, she didn't have like the form of someone who runs as a hobby. She did not look like a runner to me. But maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Anywho, so they sit down and they talk, and Ryan asks her, why does she think Josh keeps forgiving her? And Katie says that he probably keeps forgiving me because we do make a good match. But she says that she's, running out of passes. He's like losing his patience. Katie says that she doesn't want to mess this up because she really does love Josh. Ryan asks her if they should be getting married with all of the issues that they have. Katie says realistically, no, they probably shouldn't be getting married. But if they want to start over with their relationship, then marriage is the way to go. She says that she really does want to be with Josh, but she also sees them in a marriage, but not getting their needs met. And I'm like, if there's so much doubt, y'all should postpone it. Girl, you need to go to AA. before you walk down that aisle with this man, you need to take care of your drinking issue, your addiction to alcohol. Because I don't want to sound like a broken record. It's one thing to go out and drink with your friends and have a good time. It's another thing to drink to that excess and to behave the way you behave in front of your fiance. Even if he wasn't there, the way you're behaving is horrible. You cannot control yourself when just go to AA. Thomas and Paula. Let's end it here. So Paula comes. Oh, so they're at Thomas's father's property, and they were like camping or whatever. I don't know what they were doing, but they were eating outside. And so they're preparing the food. And then Paula, after she puts on her makeup, she comes out to join them. And the first thing that Thomas's stepmom says to her when she sees her is, "You're going to go see the sheep like that?" Once again, she's criticizing how she's dressed because she did that the day before when they arrived in North Carolina. She talked about how she wasn't dressed for the farm. And I'm like, Miss Stepmom, she's not going to be moving in on the farm. She's just visiting. Heaven forbid she didn't bring, her farm clothes. She had she's just visiting, like relax a little bit. Every single time she sees her, you're not dressed for the farm. You're not dressed to go see the sheep. Or she's just visiting. She's not moving in with y'all. So the stepmom, to me, she kind of sounds jealous and extremely insecure. Paula formally invites his parents to the wedding by giving them a little suitcase because how she likes miniature things that's going to manifest into the actual thing itself. So she brought them a little suitcase to symbolize them traveling to California for the wedding. His dad asks, who else is coming to the wedding? And Thomas admits that his mom and his stepdad will be there as well. They were invited as well. So the dad tells us in his own confessional that when he divorced Thomas's mom, he got custody of Thomas and his sister, and his mom was no longer involved with the children. And I don't think it really went down like that. What I've seen a lot with custody battles is that whenever one parent let me just get to it. What I see a lot of is one parent will give the one who's got visitation rights will give them a hard time. This doesn't happen in every single case. I'm not saying this happens in every single situation. Probably in a lot of situations, people can co-parent extremely well. But I do see a lot of situations where the parent who has custody gives the parent who has visitation rights a hard time. And it's like, no, you can't come whenever you want. You have to go by the schedule. If you're not here by a certain time, we're going to go back to court. If you don't pick them up or drop them off at a certain time, we're going back to court. They give them such a hard time where it's like the other parent just gives up. It's like, it's just not worth it anymore. I would love to spend time with my kids, but you don't want to be flexible. You don't want to meet me halfway. You want to go by this really strict visitation order, and it's not realistic for our lives or whatever the situation is. And then it's like, they're like, forget it. Just forget it. I'm not even going to come around no more. I see that a lot as well. So I don't know, for Thomas to still want his mother to come and for Paula to also have a decent relationship with his mom, I don't know if I'm quick to believe that this was a woman who abandoned her children as soon as his dad got custody. If she stopped seeing the children for whatever reason, I think it's because it became too difficult for her to come around Thomas's dad. And if this woman, the stepmom, was already in his life, if he was already married to the stepmom during this time, I'm pretty sure that she added a lot of problems to Thomas's mom as well, because this is a difficult woman. So the fact that the father wants us to believe that, his mom just abandoned her kids. So I'm surprised that, they're invited because she just did. I don't know if I'm quick. It could have happened. It could have happened, but I would like to hear her side of the story as well. Anywho, so when they ask him, are you going to be able to make it? The dad is like, well, I'll try. The stepmom says she can't. She can't make it because she has to stay there to watch her farm, because the person who normally watches her farm won't be able to do it. So she has to stay back and watch the farm. Paula was like, it's only going to be for 2 days. You can't leave the farm alone for 2 days. The stepmom says that she'll see what she can do. So their reaction was not what Paula expected. Paula expected them to be very enthusiastic and to be very grateful to be invited and to be excited about going to the wedding. But they're just like, well, we'll see what we can do. The dad says that him and Thomas's mother will never speak again, and that the two most important people that need to be at the wedding is Thomas and Paula. And I was like, what do you mean by that? So nobody else should be invited? That as long as they're there, nobody else should be there? Like, what do you mean by that? Of course, Thomas and Paula are the most two important people that need to be there. They're the ones getting married. But what do you mean by that? Why would you bring that up? Are you trying to imply it really doesn't matter if I'm not there as long as they're there? I don't know. It's a really sad situation that Thomas is as old as he is, and he's still like in the middle between him and his parents' feud. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.